All right, we can. What are you doing here? What is?
Hello.
What are you doing? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 10 of the Takle Talk Network. Today we're going to be talking about some retirements, where Aaron Rodgers might end up, the Jamar Chase and T. Higgins contract details, as well as another wide receiver finally finding his home, some Chiefs news. I'm going to focus in on the Chiefs today, and some hot takes maybe later on with a special guest. Now, let's get on into it. First, we got Brandon Graham of the Philadelphia Eagles finally called it quits after I believe it was 13 seasons. Had a very great and long and fantastic career with the Philadelphia Eagles. He was a really good edge rusher for him, and I hope he enjoys retirement. And please don't pull a Tom Brady and come back because as a Chiefs fan, we will not miss you. Next, we have Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, I'd like to talk about him for a minute. There's a lot of speculation on where he's going to go. Cameron Hayward especially saying, you either want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler or you don't. Specific players and coaches alike want Aaron Rodgers on certain teams, and they don't want Aaron Rodgers at all. Some people think he should just retire, and my personal opinion, he probably should retire. However, the top two landing spots, be quiet, the top two landing spots for Aaron Rodgers so far are the Minnesota Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, I'm going to go break down these teams one by one and kind of try and show you which team makes more sense in my opinion. First off, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just got wide receiver DK Metcalf. Also have wide receiver George Pickens. Obviously have a good receiving core. They have Jalen Warren at running back, seeing that Najee Harris signed with another team. If you want to figure out which team he signed to, go check out last week's episode. I greatly appreciate it. And while you're there, go ahead and like and subscribe, or you can do it right here as you will. If you're on Spotify, go ahead and rate me a 5-star or 4-star, but I'd prefer a 5-star. Give me a follow back and hit that notification bell so you never miss one of our episodes. Excuse me. Anyways, back to what I was saying. The Steelers are a great fit for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers being, 46? Something like that. Anyways, Aaron Rodgers being old as he is, and some people would call it washed. Tune in later. The Steelers might be a good place for him, seeing that the Steelers do not have a quarterback right now. Right now they have Mason Rudolph. And yeah, that's definitely not a quarterback you want in your quarterback room for the future. I really do feel like the Steelers, based off their defense, they got several more pieces in free agency. Go ahead and go to ESPN to check those out. But, I mean, they signed like Darius Slay and some other big pieces on that defense. That defense is looking absolutely solid, especially for Pittsburgh, which is, believe it or not, a playoff caliber team. All they need, in my opinion, is a franchise quarterback. But Mike Tomlin's kind of been ruining that, seeing that he always brings them to like 9 and 8 seasons. Every time. In the NFL, I'll give you a thing right now. In the NFL, you either want to be horrible or really freaking good. Because if you're in between and you're mediocre, you're going to stay mediocre for a while. The Chiefs were stuck in that rotation for 20-some plus years. And it finally took our terrible head coach back in, 2013, 2014, to lead us to a 2-14 record for them to actually start getting draft capital and start getting more players like Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, guys like that, to where now we're in a dynasty. So you can look at teams like that, and then you have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who haven't won a Super Bowl since the early 2000s because they've been stuck in mediocrity ever since Ben Roethlisberger passed his prime and then retired. So, I mean, it's Pittsburgh Steelers' ideal situation, in my opinion, for Aaron Rodgers to go out and prove himself and see if he can actually become something again in the NFL. I mean, not that long ago, he had 2 MVP seasons back-to-back, back in 2019, 2020, I believe. That's correct. Next, the other landing option, in my opinion, my favorite, because I like the storyline, the Minnesota Vikings. They have a young quarterback, and actually, they just got rid of Sam Darnold. He went to the Seattle Seahawks. I'll get to the Seahawks here in a minute. But the Seattle Seahawks got Sam Darnold. So you have the Vikings now with J.J. McCarthy, who's just coming off a fresh leg injury of last season, he sustained in the preseason. And I personally think if you put Aaron Rodgers in the Vikings offense, number one, it'd be great. You're throwing to Justin Jefferson. You literally have no excuse. I mean, you don't have an excuse on the Steelers either, but you have no excuse to be horrible on the Vikings. Now, the Vikings, they do have a bit of a shortage at running back, some might say. But, the Vikings, their defense has come a long ways. I love their defensive coordinator. Their head coach is fantastic. The one coach of the year, Kevin O'Connell, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about another duo of wide receivers here after a bit. But the Minnesota Vikings, great spot. You can have J.J. McCarthy sitting on the bench and Aaron Rodgers come in and be a mentor. And in my opinion, Aaron Rodgers doesn't even have to play the whole season. He can play halfway through the year, and then J.J. McCarthy can come off the bench. Kind of like what happened with Aaron Rodgers back when Brett Favre was his quarterback. Also, Brett Favre went to the Jets and then the Vikings. So it'd be really funny to see Aaron Rodgers go from the Packers to the Jets to the Vikings. And, Vikings fans might not want Aaron Rodgers. They might want to just roll with J.J. McCarthy. But in my opinion, it's a great move for the Vikings. My personal favorite storyline, it's the Vikings. Makes more sense. Definitely the Steelers. The Steelers, you're for sure getting the starting job for at least all season as long as you can stay healthy as Aaron Rodgers. If you go to the Vikings, you're probably going to get benched around week 7, week 8, week 9, somewhere in that range, or maybe after their bye week. I don't know when the Vikings bye week is, but if you were to get benched after the bye week, J.J. McCarthy would then go in, and maybe that's something you're looking for as Aaron Rodgers, to be a backup for a team that can make a deep playoff run. Both of these teams, in my opinion, are a good quarterback away from making a deep playoff run. And the Vikings last year, they had Sam Darnold. I don't know what happened in the playoffs other than Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts again. So, you have that. So there's Aaron Rodgers news, and that's my take on it. Next, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, in my opinion, making the stupidest move of the NFL offseason this season. They should have made They should have made this decision or this deal last year minimum. Like last year at minimum. I'm saying this because they re-signed Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both to 4-year contracts. Jamar Chase getting a 4-year, $161 million contract. He's getting paid $40 million a year. And Jamar Chase is getting a 4-year, $115 million contract, getting paid $28 million per year. So you can go ahead and look at the numbers on that. I think this is a stupid idea, stupid move. In my opinion, if I'm the Bengals front office, apparently what happened is Jamar Chase and T. Higgins share the same agent that happened this past year. So T. Higgins is now having the same agent as Jamar Chase, and that agent went to the Bengals front office and said, if you want Jamar Chase, you got to have T. Higgins as well. Otherwise, you're getting neither of them. And me as the Bengals front office would have just said, nah, man, we have the best quarterback or one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. We are going to ship both of you off for multiple first-round picks and get some draft capital for that defense and draft a wide receiver in this year's draft. That's what I would have done. But they re-signed them both to 4-year contracts, and now that defense is struggling. Oh, my Lord. You had Sam Hubbard retire. You got Trey Hendrickson almost probably going to get traded. He's not going to take a hometown discount. There's no way. If he does, what the heck am I saying? But anyways, as I'm saying, these wide receivers, they come and go. I mean, you have wide receiver duos in the NFL like Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. I mean, Jordan Addison's on a rookie scale contract still. My opinion, you trade T. Higgins or Jamar Chase or both and get a receiver on a rookie scale contract that can make and have some good rapport with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is a stallion of a quarterback. But you get somebody in there that can help Joe Burrow, and, Joe Burrow can definitely help them develop. I mean, Joe Burrow's great. I believe, personally, that he could take peanuts and turn them into all-stars. You know what I'm saying? But that's just my take on it. I think this was a stupid decision by the Cincinnati Bengals because now they're going to have to score 60 points a game to be able to win. I mean, who knows? The Baltimore Ravens might score as many on them because even if they do score 60 a game, their defense is going to be so pitiful, it's going to be like playing varsity on JV during practice. That's practically what's going. They're going to be playing They're going to be playing the practice squad on defense. Yeah, you got it right. The practice squad is going to be out there on the field for the Cincinnati Bengals defense. You lost both edge rushers, and they were both really good edge rushers. Trey Hendrickson led the league in sacks this past year and pressures. He was a really good defensive end. Then you had Sam Hubbard, who was a hometown kid, hometown hero, and now he retired. You lost two. You need to replace another one. You need to go out and get somebody in free agency. And what do, Cincinnati? You go out and you sign both of your wide receivers, who are two wide receiver ones, by the way. Joe Burrow does not need two wide receiver ones. I mean, people thought Patrick Mahomes needed two wide receiver ones. Then we didn't even have a wide receiver one for 2 seasons? Because Rashee Rice was a rookie. And the year before that, we had literally nobody. I mean, we were rocking MVS, Justin Watson, and Juju Smith-Schuster. And Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney, thank you. Kadarius Toney was absolutely horrible. I mean, the guy played good when we brought him in halfway through the season, and then when he missed training camp and stuff the next year because of an injury, he was just bad. But anyways, we'll get on to the Chiefs here in a little bit first. But first, I'd like to talk about the Seattle Seahawks because they got the new number one weapon, or probably the number 2 weapon for Sam Darnold. They signed former LA Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp. Nice signing here by the Seattle Seahawks, seeing that they got rid of Tyler Lockett and they traded away DK Metcalf. Both of those receivers and their quarterback Geno Smith were shipped on out of there, and they brought in a brand new receiver and a brand new quarterback to pair up with JSN or Jackson Smith-Njigba, if you'd like to get technical, and that's a name I won't butcher. But Jackson Smith-Njigba will be the number 1 wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks. Cooper Kupp will be a solid second. In my opinion, Cooper Kupp is a great receiver. He's still one of the best in the league. You don't even need that man to be a 1,000-yard receiver, in my opinion. JSN, as long as he's a 1,200-yard receiver, and you get that running game going with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, another name I won't butcher, you get that running game going, and then you get Cooper Kupp, 800, 900-yard receiving season. That's all you need. And you got a young tight end. I forgot who it was. Colt Kmet or something like that. You have a good young stud tight end, and you got a good team. You got a good team there with Seattle. Their defense is up and coming. It's a younger defense. You got a good defense, good corner in Tariq Woolen. You got good players all around on the ball. Sam Darnold, as long as he can replicate what he did last year, I really do think that this Seattle Seahawks team can make a deep push in the playoffs. Now, that is my take on that. Next, we got some Chiefs moves. I've been wanting to hone in on the Chiefs for a while. I wonder why. But anyways, I digress. We got some Chiefs moves here, and I'm going to be grabbing my handy-dandy notebook for this because, oh boy, there's been a few of them. So first, we got the Chiefs signed Jory Tillery, defensive tackle. That is a huge move, in my opinion. You had Derek Nottie get signed by the Jets just the other day. And what?
He's an old first-round pick. I didn't want to.
Oh, Jerry Tillery, yeah. So Tillery is a former first-round pick as well. We signed him out of free agency. He can play pretty much anywhere on the defensive line, and he also has one of the highest relative athletic scores, or RAS, on our defensive line. He has a higher one than Chris Jones, higher one than Felix Anudike-Uzomah, another name I won't butcher, higher than George Karlaftis, thank you, and he's got a lot of talent. I seriously do think he's like 28 years old, something like that, 28, 29. He's an older guy, but I think he can, and we're also not paying him that much. That's another thing. We're not paying him that much. We brought him in on a 1-year deal. It's a 1-year prove-it deal, just a nice prove-it deal. And, good cheap $8 million. He can play anywhere on the defensive line. And Chris Jones, he can play anywhere on the defensive line as well. So I feel like with this signing, that probably means that Charles Omenihu's not going to come back on the defensive end side of things for the Chiefs. But that's fine. I think we got Felix Anudike-Uzomah is going to take a step up to form a Wildcat, and I think that George Karlaftis over here, he's going to take a step up as well and perform well this season. Next, we got Gardner Minshew. I love this signing. We needed some longer hair in that quarterback room after Mahomes cut his. I'm kidding. But Gardner Minshew, solid backup. He had one of his best seasons of a career back in just 2023 with the Indianapolis Colts, or was 2022, one of the two. See what I did there? But then we have, Gardner Minshew was with the Raiders last season, had a decent year, and then he got injured. Well, first he got benched for Aiden O'Connell. Then Aiden O'Connell got injured, so he had to come in for Aiden O'Connell. But then he also got injured with collarbone injury. So we'll just see. I mean, Gardner Minshew, obviously he's not going to have to do much. He's just going to have to sit on the end of the bench. Or I like to call the end guard tackle. Sit on the end of the bench, guard the water, and tackle anybody that comes near it, even though he's a horrible tackler because he's a quarterback. But he obviously played high school football sometime in his career, or at least I hope he did, because that would be really weird if he didn't. Yeah, I'm watching out for you, Mr. Horstick. I'm not talking that loud today. However, so Gardner Minshew, solid signing at quarterback. Also, I'd like to point out, fun fact for you guys, this is the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career that he's had a backup younger than him. Take that in for a minute. Next, we got Christian Fulton, cornerback. I love this signing. He's a great slot corner. He's also a really good outside corner. He's a better outside corner than he is slot corner. Where I was trying to go with that is with him being a good outside corner, it can bring back Trent McDuffie's ability to come play slot corner, which is his original place, and he's really, really freaking good at slot corner. I love this signing. Next, we got Elijah Mitchell coming fresh off of an injury, fresh from the San Francisco 49ers. He is a speedy back, running a 4.3 in the combine when he was drafted. When healthy, this man is elite and he is dangerous. Another running back that we drafted, that we here in Kansas City drafted out of Toledo in the third round of the 2017 NFL Draft. Kareem Hunt is coming back on a 1-year deal. I love this signing, seeing he's a veteran player. Last year he had 700 yards and only played 13 games. He only averaged 3 yards a carry, but he was able to make people miss at the line of scrimmage. Really, really good signing, really quality signing and veteran signing for the Kansas City Chiefs this season. I love these running backs. That brings our running back room to Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Elijah Mitchell, and Carson Steele, the running back fullback hybrid. I love this. I think it'll be an interesting training camp battle, and I do expect that the Chiefs will probably also draft a running back, whether that be in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, maybe even the 6th round. Who knows? I do think they're going to bring in another running back. And if they don't draft one, they definitely will for sure sign a undrafted free agent at running back. They typically do. They have in the past, last couple years, just to bolster the floor of that room. But right now, I mean, you have 2 proven running backs. Isaiah Pacheco, I mean, he's kind of proven. He started in 3 different Super Bowls. Can you imagine that? In his first 3 years of his career, even though he battled some injuries this past season with a broken ankle. You got Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, who are proven running backs, in my opinion. And you have Elijah Mitchell, who's a young stud. And you got Carson Steele, who's also a young, great player and really good in the run blocking game. I don't know if you guys saw some of the tapes, but I went back and watched him. Carson Steele's really good in the run game, really good blocker, especially downfield and on linebackers. So, enough about the running back room, but I think it's going in the right direction. I think it's going to be great. Next, we have Jalen Moore, offensive tackle. I believe I talked about this last week's episode. Go check it out, like, subscribe. But Jalen Moore, offensive tackle, also from the San Francisco 49ers, was a backup to, you guessed it, I forgot his name. But the starting left tackle for the San Francisco 49ers, really, really good. Trenton Williams, thank you for that. Trenton Williams was a really good starter. He was the backup. Jalen Moore, he has only played a couple of games. He's only had so many starts. I explained it in last week's episode. Really great signing. We need tackles. Next, we got Kareem Hunt, already talked about. Juju Smith-Schuster. I love this signing, seeing that he's a big boy. This man is a big boy in that wide receiver room, and boy, do we need it. Our wide receivers, at the moment, we are now at Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Sky Moore, Nico Remigio, Justin Ross, Tyquan Thornton, and Jason Brownlee. Now, some of these players I really like. I'm going to touch on Juju Smith-Schuster just for a second. Juju Smith-Schuster, amazing player. He's an amazing wide receiver. I really do feel like he's past his prime. We all know that. Might be a hot take. Stick tail later to hear some more. Juju Smith-Schuster, a great wide receiver, a solid 4th or 5th kind of guy to get into the rotation of things. I mean, last season in the AFC Championship, he had 2 catches for 60 yards against the Bills, and his longest reception was 32 yards. So he had 2 25-plus yard catches against the Bills, And we only needed him when we needed him. He's now our plug-and-play kind of guy, kind of like Justin Watson was now that he's with the Texans. But, Justin Watson was that kind of guy for us last season, and now we got Juju Smith-Schuster for that. I do feel like that's going to be great. I am going to do predictions and stuff later on, but I do feel like a dark horse for me, in my opinion, for the Chiefs is Tyquan Thornton. Tyquan Thornton was drafted by the New England Patriots, but he ran a 4.2. Nobody really knows that about Tyquan Thornton. He ran a 4.26, I believe. 4.26, really fast receiver. He was the fastest receiver in the 2022 NFL Draft. He's really, really good. So if you look at it, we have one of the fastest wide receiver corps in the NFL with Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Tyquan Thornton, and Justin Ross. Justin Ross is pretty fast for his size. I believe he ran a 4.4. Rashee Rice also ran a 4.4. So, we had a fast receiving corps. And you got some big body receivers in there too, like Juju Smith-Schuster. And I think Jason Brownlee's a bigger receiver as well. So, you got some variations in that wide receiver room. All right, that's enough on the Chiefs. And now, we're going to do some hot takes. I say we because we've got a special guest for you today. Now, he kind of needs an introduction. This guy is the vice president of the local FFA chapter at Central Heights FFA. He is one of my friends, best colleagues. I call him a colleague because we get a lot of things done. And he's a doer. Mr. All Hat, No Cattle, your Central Heights FFA vice president, Mitchell Snow. Come on in here, man.
Why'd you have to bring up vice president of FFA? But
that's your title, That's your title. All right.
I guess it is.
So we got some hot takes for you today. And got some hot takes. Would you like to start on the hot takes, or you would like me to start? So basically, in case for any of you that don't know, a hot take is an unpopular opinion or something that's kind of out there. So it's like tinfoil hat time. So we're really good at speculating. So would you like to go first? Or you like to hear mine first?
Let's hear yours first.
All right. So my hot take for today's episode, because I feel like we should do hot takes about one every 10 or 5 episodes. But let's start it on episode 10. Anyways, my hot take. No more domes. No more domes anywhere. So, that Lucas Oil Stadium, cut the top off. We don't need it. You can still have it for basketball. I get the whole money thing with the basketball courts and hockey stadiums and things like that, but no more domes. All Super Bowls played at Lambeau Field. Come on now. Lambeau Field, Kansas City. Let's get this thing going. We need actual freaking football. The weather is part of the football game. You have teams and players like Miami Dolphins who go to Kansas City in the playoffs and they can't play because they're in a dome all year. Granted, it is a tropical climate, but, come on, guys. We need no more domes. That's my opinion. Also, Minnesota Vikings should be playing in the snow all the time, yet they're in a freaking dome. Anyways, you have something to say on that?
Weather is part of the game. We have to remember that, and I think it's ridiculous that the NFL kind of restricts where the Super Bowl is placed just because they have a dome on top of their stadium. I think that's ridiculous.
That is true. I don't like the NFL. I get that you're trying to make it to where people can come enjoy the Super Bowl. Who's not going to enjoy a Super Bowl that's freaking -13? Come on, guys. Middle of February, it's cold as heck. Come on, let's get the freaking domes out of here.
Hot take.
Yeah, that's my hot take. All right, what's your hot take? Let's hear this one. This will be
good. My hot take is that Patrick Mahomes is washed.
All right. Well, let's hear an explanation for this.
Well, my explanation for this is just look at the stat lines. It's just been constantly going down since Tyreek Hill, even though Tyreek has been asking to get out of Miami and actually we're one of the top landing spots for him. But his numbers have just been going down since Tyreek. So if we call Brock Purdy a game manager because he had a bunch of wide receivers and went to the Super Bowl with him, why don't we call Patrick Mahomes a game manager? Because those stats don't look good when he doesn't have a good offense.
Well, granted, Mahomes has made throws that nobody's ever seen before, unless you're like a Dan Marino and Joe Montana.
Dan Marino.
But, I mean, no-look passes behind the back. He did it in the preseason last year. And, like, he makes great throws. I feel like he's more of a game manager. Also, do you know what happened last time the Chiefs lost the Super Bowl?
What?
The very next season, Mahomes led the Triple Crown in touchdowns, yards, and completion percentage that season and won MVP.
Well, let's hope he does
it
it then.
Tyreek Hill's first year not on the Kansas City Chiefs. And that was also kind of crazy. You think about this. I'm taking you off your soapbox here for a minute. But you look at the Kansas City Chiefs. Back then, they lost the Super Bowl, and then we got rid of Tyreek. The biggest thing, in my opinion, the problem with getting rid of number 10, that's Pacheco back there, but getting rid of number 10 for the Chiefs, it was like, we just lost the Super Bowl and we just got worse. And I feel like that was kind of the same thing that happened this year with Joe Tooney. We got rid of Joe Tooney. We got rid of some other key players like Justin Reed. And some people think that, we're getting worse, but I think we're getting better. So, I mean, you say
and
Mahomes...
Charles Minahu is going to be gone.
Yes. You say Patrick Mahomes is washed. I don't think he is washed. I think he's going to light the league on fire this year. That's my hot take. Another hot take I have. He's going to light the freaking league on fire this year. He's going to be fantastic for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Let's hope he does it. I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Are you, though?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No, great hot take.
I mean, it definitely was a hot take.
I mean, yeah, there's probably going to be people raising at the comments, all 60 viewers of them. But, anyways, so, you got anything else you want to say?
I believe it, that L'Jarius Sneed will have a breakout year next year.
All right, well, we're gonna leave you with that, okay? I thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Tackle Talk Network. We appreciate it. Mitchell Snow here, great commentator. He's not got a face for radio anymore. He's got a face for podcasting. Anyways, that's practically the same thing.
The only time I'm on here, man.
All right, well, I thank you for listening and taking time to listen to my podcast. Whether you're outside working or you're sitting at home, I appreciate you. This is the Tackle Talk Network. And we'll see you
next time.
Next week.